Well, for more on that story, we're joined now by Justine Hardy, who is a journalist and also the author of In the Valley of Mist, Kashmir's Long War. Justine joins us from London. Thank you very much indeed for speaking to France 24. Let's just start by discussing, what is India doing here and what messages are they trying to send out, do you think?
I think to put a perspective on it, Tom, from the ground, which is where I'm based most of the time. I'm in London now, but I'm in Kashmir on the Indian side a lot of the time. And in addition to being a journalist, I'm a psychotherapist and run a large mental health program in the valley itself. So, from the point of view of what India is trying to do here, well, it's a long story that goes back not only to 1989 when all of this particular era began, but it goes back centuries across the whole of the history of the subcontinent in many ways. Right now, well, you've heard from your correspondent in New Delhi. Is it electioneering? Is it a response that is in line with what was perceived as an attack on Indian military, the Central Reserve Police Force that was referred to? And is this an escalation, or is this, as the people of Kashmir feel, a yet another incident in the long-running saga that's been playing out across time? Now, the people of Kashmir themselves, and again, when I say the people of Kashmir, I'm talking about uh, my experience of the people on the Indian side, Indian administered side of Kashmir. They are pawns in this. They're the people who this is the fighter jets go over their heads, the skirmishes happen on the land, on their land. So what's India really trying to do with something like this? Well, it's a surgical strike in response to an attack that's seen as an attack on their national security by Jaish-e-Mohammed, a militant organization, which, as far as India is concerned, is perceived as being under the state, what would be the right word, under the auspices of the Pakistan state, because their training camps are on Pakistani territory. Their mission is to reclaim Kashmir. So it's really not an easy question to answer. What does India want here? India wants to retain Kashmir as it has since 1949.
Hmm. And of
Uh,
course, doing nothing was never an option, was it, for New Delhi? They had to be seen to be doing something. Do you see things escalating from here?
my era, 1947, I was just talking about the UN line of control from 49, disputed line. Do I see things escalating? The rumors spinning around in the valley, which is what people take the temperature from the rumors there, range from it's just a one off surgical strike to this is going to be all out war. Now, from the point of view of the people on the ground, the immediacy that they're having to deal with is shortages. They're dealing with food shortages because of the roads being shut down, because of the current situation, diesel shortages. They're dealing with the immediacy of what happens when something like this is happening on the largest scale. So it's very hard to know whether there'll be an escalation. This is the first one under Prime Minister Imran Khan's watch, so to speak. So will he be bellicose about it? Will he show restraint? Will he be listening to the international voices that are asking, calling for restraint? Or is this going to be a standoff between a prime minister on the one side who has very much his eye on the election, and on the other side, somebody trying to prove and make a stance in the early stages, let us say, of his prime ministership, Pakistan versus India, as it has been since 1947, Pakistan versus India. And a lot of it is about the rhetoric. A lot of it is about the saber rattling and who can have the upper hand, and will India maintain their calm, or will Pakistan be seen to be backing off? And it's so much comes down to the honor, you could say, of who's going to look as if they have the upper hand in this. Will it escalate? Next 24, 48 hours will probably give us a clearer picture.
Yeah, of course we can't very accurately forecast the future. But just tell us, because you're based in that part of the world. It's a fairly inaccessible place today, and I'm just wondering what daily life is like. I mean, do people live under this constant threat of a possible conflict right in their backyard, Justine?
It's a mixture. People carry on with their daily lives. I mean, when this first started in late 89 and into the 90s, it was like full out war, and people were paralyzed for a while by it. And then, as happens in many long, entrenched, intractable situations like this, people began to get on with their lives again, and a certain level of normality resumed. But like a miasma. It's like a constant thrum in the background, which means that people live with constant levels of anxiety and tension. And whereas it's all contextual, we all have anxiety and tension in our lives. There is a continuity to it, which is that, say, for example, the younger generation will often have a sense of, well, what's the point? We don't have much of a sense of a future here. Any kind of entrepreneurial idea will be hit on the head very early on because, oh, what's the point of it? What will happen? So it's very hard for the younger generation to be optimistic about their future. And then when something like this happens, it goes out of being let us say, slightly more nebulous and existential to being very existential, very real, when more warplanes are actually going overhead. And everybody's used to as they're called, skirmishes that happen on the ground on a very regular basis. There's an incredibly high level of military and counterinsurgency presence there. And when outsiders come in for the first time, their first reaction is to say, this is the heaviest military presence I've ever used. They will use the word occupied. This is like an occupied state. So for the people of Kashmir, they will carry on business as usual until they have no choice because strikes are called, things are stopped down, transport is on strike. Whatever measures are taken, there might be full curfew, there might not. For example, at the moment, the internet has been slowed down dramatically to around 2G. Telephones are intermittent, sometimes they're on, sometimes they're off. So there are all of these measures that everybody is very used to.
Okay, well, it sounds like a tense situation. Let's hope it doesn't get more tense in the days ahead. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. We'll have to leave it there. Journalist and author Justine Hardy, thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank